The rhythmic clatter of the subway echoed through the underground tunnels, a soundtrack to the hustle and bustle of city life. It was the evening rush hour, and the subway car was packed with a kaleidoscope of personalities. Tired office workers, lively teenagers chatting about their day, parents with children tugging at their sleeves, and tourists trying to decipher the transit map. In one corner of the car, a little girl sat quietly, clutching a stuffed rabbit that had seen better days. Her wide eyes darted around the crowded space, filled with both curiosity and unease. Her mother, a young woman in her late 20s, stood protectively beside her, holding the pole for balance as the train swayed and jerked along the tracks. Across from them sat a man, his posture hunched, his gaze sharp and unsettling. His clothes were worn, his face shadowed by a scruffy beard, and his eyes flickered between the little girl and her mother, with an intensity that made those nearby shift uncomfortably. He muttered under his breath in a language most couldn't understand, his demeanor adding a layer of tension to the already cramped quarters. Unbeknownst to the passengers, seated a few rows away, was someone who blended seamlessly into the crowd. Wearing a plain hoodie and jeans, Sergeant David Collins, an off-duty soldier recently returned from his third deployment, observed the scene with a calm but vigilant eye. Years of training had honed his instincts, and something about the man across from the mother and daughter didn't sit right with him. The train slowed to a stop at the next station, and a few passengers filed out while others boarded, filling the gaps. The man's behavior grew more erratic. He shifted closer to the mother and daughter, his muttering escalating into audible words, though still unintelligible to most. The mother tightened her grip on her daughter's hand, her unease now palpable. Then, it happened. As the train jolted forward, the man lunged, grabbing the little girl's arm with a force that made her cry out. Gasps rippled through the car as passengers froze, unsure of how to react. The mother screamed, pulling her daughter toward her, but the man's grip was ironclad. "Let her go!" the mother shouted, panic lacing her voice. The man snarled something incomprehensible, pulling the girl closer to him as if to shield her from being taken back. The scene unfolded in a matter of seconds, but to those watching, it felt like an eternity. That's when Sergeant Collins stood up. With a calmness that belied the storm brewing inside him, David moved through the sea of frozen passengers. His commanding presence parted the crowd as if by instinct, people stepping aside without even realizing it. By the time the man noticed him, it was too late. "Let the girl go," David said, his voice steady and authoritative. The man turned, his eyes narrowing as he sized up the soldier. "Stay back!" he barked, his grip tightening on the girl. The child whimpered, tears streaming down her face. David raised his hands slightly, a gesture of calm. "You don't want to do this," he said evenly. "Let her go, and we can sort this out without anyone getting hurt." The man's eyes darted around the car, realizing for the first time that all eyes were on him. The once passive passengers now looked ready to act, emboldened by David's presence. Still, he didn't release the girl. David took a step closer. "You're scared," he said, his tone softening. "I can see that, but this isn't the way. Let her go, and we'll figure this out together." The man hesitated, his grip loosening just enough for David to act. With lightning speed, the soldier moved in, disarming the man with a precise maneuver that left no room for resistance. The girl was freed, and David quickly pulled her back to her mother's embrace. The subway erupted into cheers and applause as the man was subdued, his protests drowned out by the gratitude of those around him. Several passengers called the police, who arrived at the next station to take the man into custody. The mother, tears of relief streaming down her face, hugged her daughter tightly before turning to David. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Thank you for saving my baby." David nodded, a faint smile breaking through his stoic demeanor. "Just doing what anyone would do," he said humbly. But as the train pulled into the next station and the man was led away in handcuffs, the passengers knew better. Not everyone would have had the courage, or the training, to step in the way David had. To them, he was a hero. As David exited the train, blending back into the city's endless tide of people, he carried with him the quiet satisfaction of having made a difference. He didn't need recognition or accolades. The safety of that little girl and the gratitude in her mother's eyes were reward enough.
Share your thought in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to my channel. I pour my heart into crafting stories like this for you, and your support is the one helps me keep going. I appreciate having you on this journey.